Crazy story. I was 21 years old and I had never been to Vegas. My buddy and I was kind of floating around figuring out what I was going to do with my life. I was trying to go to school, wasn't doing that good. Buddy comes over and says, "I'm moving to Vegas next week. You want to go?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." Me, him, and my dog took off. Man. It was crazy because it was a fun time of my life, but definitely would never want to do it again. We would wake up at 10 at night, get ready, go out at 11, come home at 5, sleep all day, and that was just a cycle.
You're real productive.
Real productive. Yeah, changed my life for the better, of course.
But so you had...
Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Oh, that's right. It is all about you, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out on our social media tag up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, home loan expert.
Probably recognize Grant's giant arms as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team. Now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
We've seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters. He's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city.
Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Adam Oakey, black belt lawyer. He's an entrepreneur and TV star, local celebrity here in town.
Yeah.
So we're happy to have him. We're going to talk about some all things legal, dude. Just trying to keep you out of trouble, finally.
I'm surprised that I didn't have to use him. Yeah. I just got away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so many times you've walked into the studio and like, hey, guess what? I got in another fight in the parking lot.
Yeah. One undefeated, so the undefeated part is what matters.
That's what's
you,
key.
ABQ.
Stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite, Skip's Tips. Grant, dude, I love this little tattoo you got working on your forearm
the little
here.
fucking, most of the adhesive is just killing me on here. I like your Michael Bolton shirt.
I'm sponsored. Hey, zoom in. Yeah, speaking of emergency room visits, intern Ashley turned 40 years old. We have a great trip planned to San Diego, and then in the middle of the night,
no way.
Appendicitis on the way to the airport.
Dude, that was my biggest fear. Every time I would go, where's it supposed to be at? And I go, oh no, I'm done. It's going to rupture.
Yeah, so she was up all night. I'm like, just go to bed, dude. Sleep it off.
Yeah.
And then in the morning she goes, all right, well, I'm going to the ER. So so that was that. Canceled the trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we spent, she spent the night at Loveless, which by the way, I haven't been to Loveless Hospital.
The Rust one?
Downtown. No, Loveless. That's Press. You went to Press.
Yeah, I got the good one.
Yeah, so when it comes to comparing hospitals, ERs,
yeah.
Rust apparently is the place
best.
to go.
Yeah.
Loveless has a little bit of a cockroach problem, but...
just rust on the spoons. There's a different demographic going in there, and how fast did she get seen?
In and out, because, so here's the thing, we went to the ER up in the Heights, Albuquerque emergency room, and they did all the tests. They go, yeah, you need to have surgery, and let's call around. So they called Presbyterian first.
I hate that they can't do it then. It's like okay, so you detected it, great. You're in an emergency room, does it give you gauze? Did you have a paper cut? Oh, we're going to send you out of here. That's kind of lame.
But either way, to speak to that, the cool thing about that ER is you walk right in, there's no line. So that was in and out, had all the tests.
Self-service?
Yeah, you scan your own boobs or whatever you got to do. But so no, so it was funny because we were in the hospital room and kind of looking around like, this place is, what fucking
dimly
year?
lit.
What year was this place built?
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, it was always
like ashtrays on the operating table.
Correct, yeah. In fact, they had lockers, like in the room, instead of like a closet you can hang, there was just like a locker, you put your stuff in there. But the shower was a lime green tile. And so I had to Google it. Built in like 1961, that hospital.
What is it? Those plans to revamp? Nope, that's the way it came.
No,
touch
cockroaches.
It. Now don't renovate it. Yeah.
So I'm glad you got to go to Rust, man. That's cool.
Yeah, you know what's kind of a shout out to my sister for insisting that I don't go to UNMH. She said he will get off the ER bed if he knows where he's coming. Do not put him there. He turns violent. You got to send him to Rust. He will be cool. That's actually a quote from her. So.
Yeah, what else you got going on, man?
Well, okay, so I went to Chipper Doherty's Agra Greenhouse on Gun Club in the South Valley. If you want anything really good, it has to come from the South anything. You know, you want the authentic tortillas. You want anything,
some red chili?
Yeah, if you go in the Heights and they just blow it. So you want good plants, Mark, cue it up if you're not overdosing again.
Chilies you guys are probably used to eating.
We have Sandia. These are the hotter chilies, maybe something that Sadie's use. And one that's a hidden secret is... Oh, hold on. That these are Miss June's because she's a little bit hotter. Get it?
So cool. I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
I don't know, the fans were worrying. So I showed the different strains of chilies. The Barker chili is the hottest one. That one's, I planted that one. That one's about to remove my face in a second when I pop that in the toaster oven and eat it. The Big Jim's. Big Jim's is the chili we traditionally eat, besides the hatch ones. But locally, it's Big Jim, and then there's several medium grades, and then you just get the Psycho. And I am going to grow a ghost pepper plant again. I'm trying. They take so damn long to produce the little thing, so we might not get to burn our face off. But I'm trying.
Last year when we ate it on the show, the guest, who was our guest?
That was, my guest was my old captain of the hockey team, Jared Ronquillo.
Oh, that's right, it was Jared.
And Jared still, you ask him a girlfriend question, and I'm just crying and can't see anymore, and he's answering the question. I go, we just cut, and he's, I met her at a special philanthropy, and it's like just
sweating
crying.
profusely.
Yeah, that was tough.
One cool event that took place today, actually, we're breaking this news here live on UABQ, is we got to tour the new Flicks Brew House. So Flicks Brew House is one of these luxury movie theaters on the west side. Fast forward, they're opening a new location, and we got a behind-the-scenes tour, exclusive media tour, since we're a media powerhouse here at UABQ. Mark, let's run that clip. Hey, it's Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage in Albuquerque and host of the UABQ podcast. And today we're taking a behind-the-scenes tour of Flicks Brew House, new location in the Northeast Heights. It's a 7-theater movie experience, including their own brewed beer, full kitchen, and just an amazing experience overall on the east side of town. We're behind the scenes at Flicks Brew House in the actual brewery portion of it. So a lot of breweries will make their own beer. They actually make it here and serve it fresh out of the tap. This is one of the things that sets this place apart from any other microbrewery in town, but also movie theater experience. Stay tuned as we go through the entire theater. You're not going to want to miss it. Get this in the background too. We're standing in the lobby of the old United Artists Theater here up on Indian School and Tramway, which most people didn't know that old theater actually won an award for stickiest seats and disgustingest floor. So take a look around and you can see it's come through a whole transformation, and this place opens the first week of May this year. So stay tuned as you see what the transformation looks like and what the full experience has to offer. So at Flicks Brew House, you can say goodbye to those old tiny sticky seats. We have leather recliners here where you can order food from the app. They'll actually bring you cold beer to your lap so you can take a nap while your kids are watching the movie. Trust me.
Trust me, watch me jump off this step.
So,
I trust you.
Yeah, well, you should trust me.
All you have to say is that, and then it's like, oh, yeah, he's right. Why would he?
This guy seems legit.
This guy went to jail 12 times, but he's reformed.
Any other facts you want to drop on us today?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's drop them. Let's do some animal facts. A little change up. You don't have our show mastered. We just did a mix of a little curveball. Oh. That guy looks ripped. That was a nice little piece here. Here's some animal facts here. So yesterday was pet day, and if you guys didn't know, I really like my Pomeranians, but I'm going to give you a few facts about animals you probably didn't know. You're going to come out here richer in brain and intellect. Meows are actually domestic calls for their owners. Meows from cats actually didn't exist until cats were domesticated. Cats actually came from Egypt about 8,500 years ago, and I think it was during the Cleopatra era where they domesticated them. So the way domestication happens usually with animals is they find out that this is a good place for food, and we could stop hunting and start meowing. I like that one. African buffaloes are actually, they're the females that dictate which direction they're going to go, and the females will step up and point to the direction they want to go, and the amount of buffalo pointing the most amount pointing in a direction is the way they go, and the men just have to sit it out. Sounds familiar? Oh man, yellow, blue, and gray are the only colors dogs can see. A Maris shrimp can make the water surrounding it 850 degrees. It's just an automatic boiler. It's a marvel. For scientists are still trying to figure it out. I know how they do it though. Koalas can sleep for 22 hours. Pandas eat for 22 hours. Sounds like a few of my ex-girlfriends. Sheep and hummingbirds do facial recognition, so they could probably open up your cell phone. But no, they remember you. And I have a hummingbird feeder. I remember a few of these guys have made it a stop and said that this is my home during this journey for 3 or 4 weeks. They migrate too, but I know hummingbirds will come up right in your face and they'll say hello. Because they know you can't grab them. But no, they recognize you, and they kind of say thank you and come up, and you become part of their stuff for the rest of their life. Clownfish can change gender. That could have saved me $16,000 last weekend. Saudi Arabia was the one that domesticated dogs about 8,000 years ago, again, for providing food, and they started following them around and eating the scraps. Let's talk about bees. Bees, queen, they can change gender too, so they could turn into a queen. What they do is they're constantly looking for better places, so they send out a scout bee and they bring back to the queen. If the queen can fit in the area where she can get in, then they call it the new home. The scout bees usually get left behind, so the scout bees are all looking for places for the queen. The hive can move in about 3 minutes. There's about 50,000 bees. So when you see these massive videos of like almost the sky being covered brown, it's because it's called I forgot what it's called. Not a herd. And giraffes, a collection of giraffes is called towers. And that's about all I can do. I mean, one big popsicle stick of facts, you know what I mean? How much can you learn?
There's a walking otter pop?
Yeah. That's a good wrap up. Mishka.
Oh my God, I feel so smart. Here's where you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Adam Oakey, the black belt lawyer, entrepreneur, and TV star, local celebrity. Happy to have him. And then stay tuned to the end of the show. Everyone's favorite, Skip's Tips. This is UABQ. Hey, welcome back to UABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, home loan expert.
We're joined by Adam Oakey, black belt lawyer. Dude, you have such a great social media following and just a cool backstory being from Albuquerque, making a wrong turn, but also then righting the ship and then becoming a successful entrepreneur, man. So I'm glad to have you on the show.
Bolo tie. This is a first.
The bolo tie. I do
love
like the
it.
bolo tie. Yes. Thank you, Skip. Grant, I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. And thank you. I actually been wearing bolo ties. I've been kind of getting into them, and then when I travel, I pick up a bolo tie every time.
Oh, nice.
You know, so yeah. And here's the thing: it keeps me from having to wear a tie.
Well, no one is against it. I think everyone goes. Don't you get a lot of props for it?
I have a little bit of props. I feel kind of like a politician or something.
Yeah.
You know, it helps me BS people.
Look at how like, it goes with everything.
It also looks like kind of like a little Superman symbol. So
Yeah.
little
Well,
shield.
also, it's probably bulletproof, which is good in Albuquerque.
That's true. So if I get hit right here, boom, I'm good.
I saved my life twice.
No, but talk
Indeed.
about it. So you grew up in Albuquerque, North Valley kid.
Yeah.
And then stayed in Albuquerque. What
Yeah.
was it about Albuquerque that you think is great? Why would you stay here?
Overall, I love Albuquerque. I did leave a couple times, ended up coming back. But I ended up starting a family, having kids, and just saying, hey, I'm going to run a business out here and do everything I can to help the community. You know, I, of course, like you said, grew up out here. And I think there's, you know, a lot of people do well and they end up leaving. Right. I said, I'm going to do well and I'm going to try to stay. I'm going to try to help people.
We had a guest on, and he said that he had heard the two main exports of New Mexico were UNM students and green chili.
Oh, man. That's probably true. That's probably true because everybody leaves and, you know, and I'm not going to lie, there were times when I wanted to leave and I ended up back, you know.
Where'd you dart off to when you did?
I've gone to Vegas. I've gone to
Oh,
Los
yeah.
Angeles.
There you go. I'm
let
going
me
to
tell
stay
you,
out of trouble. I'm headed to Vegas.
I'm going to go do good in Vegas. Crazy story. I was 21 years old and I had never been to Vegas. My buddy and I was kind of floating around figuring out what I was going to do with my life. I was trying to go to school, wasn't doing that good. Buddy comes over and says, I'm moving to Vegas next week. You want to go? I said, yeah, let's go. Me, him, and my dog took
Yeah, I'm
off.
gonna ask for time off. See ya, boss.
I wasn't working at the time, unfortunately. I was kind of skipping around trying to not work.
How long did you last in Las Vegas before?
1 year.
Yeah.
One year.
More
Pretty
than-
long, yeah.
That's 350 days longer than we would.
Yeah,
350
nowadays.
degrees too.
I
That's hot
know.
there.
It was crazy because it was a fun time of my life, but definitely would never want to do it again. We would wake up at 10 at night, get ready, go out at 11, come home at 5, sleep all day, and that was just a cycle.
You're real productive.
Real
lifestyle.
productive. Yeah, changed my life for the better, of course.
But so you had a little bit of a hiccup in your past. I mean, that's kind of one of the selling features about you is that you've overcome adversity. Talk about your backstory.
Well, as a young man, I started getting in some trouble. I kind of had a normal history for many people, but kind of a hard history. Dad wasn't around, mom was on drugs, so I started getting in some trouble. In and out of the system as a juvenile, and as an adult, I kept going back and forth to jail, usually for stupid stuff, mostly for fighting. Right? I always was a fighter, a fist fighter. I wasn't a gangster, gang member, or anything like that. But I loved to fight people, and I always thought it was okay to fight somebody, maybe like this hockey guy over here, right? If they
I
come
love
up,
fighting too.
Yeah,
I think it should
right?
be like if two people agree on it, let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it and get it over.
Yeah,
Have a beer after. So
yeah.
I got in a lot of trouble for that. Eventually, I ended up getting some felonies for aggravated assault, basically fighting. I was.
You know what sucks about that? When you win, you get one charge. Isn't that
I
crazy?
have a whole theory on how the system is really hurting the people that are in the right, because a lot of times the person who wins the fight gets arrested, but it was the person who started it, and I was
I'm
always
sick
taught,
of it.
Never start it, just finish it.
Yeah.
They get arrested for finishing it. So
Yeah, that's true.
now I defend them.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, hey, lady, you won.
Hey, you won.
Actually, you win. You're going to win again.
Yeah, exactly.
two
Hey,
and all
just
it
because
is.
you're guilty or just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.
It is kind of weird to assign that to two people that were seemingly consensual,
combat.
right?
Mutual combat.
And it is like hockey, where like you agree, you drop the gloves. That guy drops the gloves. Okay, then it's a fair contest.
But you pay the price for being the better fighter, and when you win, this guy, you don't get arrested. This guy,
Yeah.
you do.
I'm glad you feel that way because
I
there's
was
some
literally thinking
sensible
about that
thinking.
today. Yeah, thank you.
Well, okay, so you take it from street fights into, your tagline is the black belt lawyer.
Black belt lawyer. Yeah.
So, being more in the gym now, under control, fewer charges when you have the sanctioned event.
There's a lot of ways to get an innocent charge. Innocent ruling.
Yeah. Number one is to know the judge. No, I'm just kidding. No, I found I was always into fighting. I was in martial arts. I was in karate as a kid, but I was able to find a positive outlet for that negative thing in my life, and it became something that actually inspired me. I fought for Jackson's MMA, fought with a lot of the UFC fighters, traveled around, did really well, and then ended up becoming a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's fantastic. So I got my purple belt in jiu-jitsu not
nice.
too long ago.
Nice.
Brown from here.
Where at? Where do you train?
So I started originally in San Diego,
Okay.
but a good friend of mine, and actually a guy who's on our real estate team, is David Binder.
Binder, yeah.
So yeah,
Good buddy of mine.
Trade with
Yeah.
David Binder,
Love David.
but then so in New Mexico, I think that's part of the culture is you
Yeah,
have
it is.
to. You have to learn how to fight.
You
have
actually
to
just wear your belt out to warn everybody, like, where are you at? Oh, okay.
I just wear it for Halloween. Hopefully they think I'm faking it. But no, it is part of the culture. It is, and I think per capita, from what I've heard, is we have the most martial artists per capita in the world.
Oh, we have to.
We have
which is a crazy thing because I grew up and the fights were not everyone was trained, right?
Right,
I was a brawler, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you get to trade blows and to see who could do 17, and whoever's standing up at the end. Now it's like there's some really nice looking people. That David Binder is an example. David Binder looks like he could be a librarian, and he talks like one. But then
nice,
he could
yeah.
dismantle you, and it's just nuts now because you know. And for me, I got older and I got no more of this, but you don't know what's going on.
You got to check the ears. Look at this guy's
You
ears.
don't?
No, for
That's
sure.
true.
That was always a rule, no matter what back then. Yeah.
But the thing about it is, like you said, you're a brawler, and one of my things about fighting is you can be a black belt in any art, but if you don't got the heart,
Yeah.
then you'll still lose.
Or the cardio.
Or
too.
the cardio. I don't have the cardio
That's
right
another
now.
reason why I
huge.
stopped.
That's huge.
Got
That's
three
why I
in me.
stopped.
Hey, you better drop. Okay.
There's another round. Hold on.
30 seconds, and if I don't win by then, I don't know.
Turn around and run.
So what we were commenting, I have not met you before till today,
Yeah.
and my remark to you was, it makes sense. People you resonate with your average person here, and there's a lot of times we're talking. Sometimes Skip and I aren't the guy for them because people want to work with the familiarity.
What they say is your vibe attracts your tribe. Okay, and what that means is
there you go.
You got a billboard up too?
I like that.
yeah, you can use that.
I might use that.
But yeah, no, but
We got a written
bolo
contract,
tie. Yeah, patent pending. But you've got the bolo tie and the tattoos, and most people, some people would walk into an attorney's office and go, "I don't know if I vibe with this guy." Other guys would go, "Wait a minute, I've seen you at the Thanksgiving. Hell yeah, this is my guy."
People
right
are
here.
very, and probably with you too, have a distinct decision with us. There's no maybes with Skip and I. There's no probably maybes with you. They know yes or no, and the no's are probably very firm no's, and the yeses are very firm yeses. So
That's true.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking about like kind of coming in, a lot of times I'll even be wearing jumpsuits, Nike jumpsuits, kind of
I
looking
wish
like
you
my
had
tribe.
I wish you
I
had
should have
the
worn
county
that. I should have.
jumpsuits.
Oh, dude, that's dope. I would have worn that myself, my chopos. But I've come in my suit with some of my clients who've never seen me in my suit, and that weirds them out. Oh, Mr. Oakey,
I don't trust you.
Better. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's a nice conversion to say, I'm your guy, but watch this. I have them all fooled. And get
Superman,
your-
yeah, just goes-
That's true. You put on the suit, and I have the same degree as all these other lawyers, and we would go in there. They can't tell the difference, you know. So yeah, it's been good.
One thing when you're an entrepreneur is you have to be an expert in all aspects of business, not just the business itself, but marketing. And you've done a fantastic job, great online presence, billboards all over the town. I mean, do you have a team in place, or you just enjoyed that part of the business?
No, I've pretty much done it all myself. I've implemented, of course, businesses and services that put the billboards up and things like that, but I've actually done all the marketing myself even till today.
We were commenting on it even in our profession. Your proficiency is one thing. Having anyone know about you is another, right?
Yeah.
If you have both of them, then you succeed. But there's a lot of maybe people in our industry that are good, and that no one knows who the hell they are.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a marketing yourself, and no one will market yourself like yourself. So your visibility to me, like for me, knowing I'm like, oh yeah, I know that guy. His commercials come on there. He's standing in front of the court, punching the cameraman. No, but I mean, it resonates well in this town, and I think you figured it out. You figured out the marketing.
I believe, and there's one thing that you said, no one will market yourself like yourself, and that's the problem that I've had. I've actually had other people try to do it, and what they do is they censor everything, they tame it down, and my thing with marketing, don't tame it down.
Yeah.
If you like me or don't like me, I want it to be known. If you don't like me, I don't want to. We don't work. If you don't like me, shut the fuck up. No, but seriously, like if somebody doesn't like my personality, then we probably don't want to work together, right? Because there's going to be a lawyer, just like you guys, going to be a real estate agent that's going to work with them.
You come across authentic, right? Genuine. You are who that is, and that you don't have to keep up that character because it's you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. So there's a lot of talk about Albuquerque. Like in our business, we recruit people from all over the world to move to Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And the first thing that they say is, well, I Googled Albuquerque, and you guys got crime there. What we always talk about is bond reform, catch and release, and kind of how that plays a role in recidivism. And I just somebody that's in the business, in the trenches. I mean, what's your take on kind of what we're experiencing crime-wise?
Well, there is an influx of crime. There's a lot going on. We do have the bond reform. As far as where I feel on it, like many topics, right, we're kind of pitted to maybe pick one side, but I kind of have feelings going both ways. And one way, I think it's unfair that some people are going to be considered dangerous with a decision made by typically a prosecutor and a judge. They really don't have a chance, and they're held in there without a chance to get out, right? And that actually, in my opinion, goes against the U.S. Constitution and the right to a bond. I believe that we may be violating people's constitutional rights. It should be litigated if it's not already. But as far as a bond as well, I mean, I don't like the fact that some people could be dangerous and they still can afford to get out. So there's no perfect system. There's no perfect answer. I think we're trying to come up with the best answers we can. But as far as bond reform in general, I don't know. I think I would have to be a politician to put more thought into that. Honestly, all I know is that if I have a client who is a criminal defendant, my job as an advocate is no matter what they are, who they are, I'm trying to get them out.
I think the intent was there. I think that the aim was there. We're starting to see the result of, I think it was a polar swing.
Yeah.
It went from here to here, and now it's like, everyone, you can just run out there. The doors are open.
Yeah.
So I think in efforts to be fair, you see in the results, it's true. It's like you can't win, right? You go here, your liberties are gone. You go here, other people's liberties are gone because they're dead. Because the guy came out and shot another person. So it's like, I think this state right here is a case in point about. Well, we did a case study, we did an experiment.
That's right.
And here's what happened when bond reform. So do we want to?
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like if we kind of talk about it and think about how everything's going, it sounds like it's probably not working.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's just really not working.
And the problem is, you have this, like, I call them the loud 10%, and they're on both ends, both parties, right? And you'd think there's this resounding sentiment, and really it's just people being loud, and people will always be loud, and you think you're not doing a good job. It would be hard to be a politician. There's someone in your face telling you how it sucks, and you're like, well, have you seen it if I don't do it my way? And hopefully we don't have that happen, but a lot of times you have to have, probably right now during our presidency, the Constitution's currently being lit on fire, and you have to go, okay, we'll run it your way and see what happens,
see what
left.
comes of it.
It's another case study.
Wait it out, wait the time out.
But there's always some wild things in the headlines in Albuquerque, and I'm sure in your profession, being a lawyer, you're right in the thick of it, and you get to see stuff before it hits the news. Talk about, if you can, some crazy cases or some crazy incidents that you've seen that are just one after another.
I've had cases that run the gamut of cases, from obviously little small cases, traffic cases, but I get some of the state's biggest cases as far as murder cases, a lot of juvenile murder cases, let's say homicide cases. We get a lot of those. I get a lot of personal injury cases, a lot of officer shootings.
You got a lot of chances at those.
A lot of police, police brutality, a lot of the corrections department killing people dying. I've picked up probably 3 cases like that just this week.
So that's to become civil at that point.
That's
right?
civil at that point. Those are civil cases.
What is it that you find to be like compelling? Like what is something that you found to be like you discovered on your own that you personally went and got it and like, okay, I got to the root of this and that was a turning point maybe?
Like kind of like an Aaron Brockovich moment or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. Or Matlock.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, also I like Matlock. For instance, there was a case where we had sued one of the jail facilities here in New Mexico, and we had found out they were colluding to hide all the emails that the lieutenant had told the rest of the correction officers, if any of these inmates fuck around, fuck them up. Yeah. He had told them that in an email. A few days later, they killed somebody.
Issued the code red.
Oh, really?
Issued it, killed him, slammed his head into a door, killed him. A few days later, they tried to hide all that. We found out punitive
damages. Right, because it goes all the way to the top, right? It was our orders, right?
That was it.
Oh my God.
That was a plan. Kill him.
Have you ever had a case, and I know you have basically a fiduciary duty to make sure that you represent your client to the best and make sure they get off. Have you ever had a case where by the end of it you were representing somebody and you maybe didn't have a clean conscience about it?
Yeah, that's obviously something as a lawyer that we have to deal with. We have to compartmentalize. We have to decide which cases we're willing to take. I've come around and I have enough experience to say, hey, I am a certain part in this system. I play a valuable part in this system. I do my best not to judge anybody no matter what it is. I'm that man who's going to stand in front of you if somebody accuses you of something horrendous that everybody else, the whole system, everybody in society is throwing rocks at you, wants you to die. I will stand in front of that person and I will fight for them. Whether or not I agree with what they did, I do it as part of the system, and I feel that we need that.
So what you said is very interesting, and I'll bring up a parallel to this. If we're going to go right to the letter of the law, right to the code, and me being kind of voting a little bit left, but being a Christian, I realize that there's a separation of church and state. As a Christian, would I prefer things going on? But if we're going to adhere to the Constitution, it's a tough thing because people say, well, Grant, are you Christian? I'm like, but listen to the construct of our nation. It's what you're doing, right, is exactly what I just demonstrate.
I'm going to tell you how I think about that scenario in my head is when I'm standing in line when I have to walk in front of Jesus and he says, did you do the right thing or not? And I have to explain it. I've told myself and I believe that I am still doing the right thing because I don't really know what happened. I'm defending the innocent. Jesus used to do the same thing. I'm not comparing myself in any way to that. But the way
I have you right. You're just right there.
I've been on your Instagram.
Do you have any water? I can turn it on. No, but that's how I think of that, right? Because I have to bring those things together, right? In my conscience, in my soul, in my heart. Because I'm also a Christian, but I also believe in the system, in the separation. So I believe that no matter what, we were put here to do a job, that I have to do that job for this person, whether or not he was rightfully or wrongfully accused. I have to do that, and I believe it's okay, even though I do get a lot of backlash for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a tough thing, and I think that if I'm going to do a history philosophical lesson here, when the Pilgrims got here, it was because they got expelled for thinking different, and they said, all we want is freedom. As soon as the Pilgrims got here, they go, okay, no more, this is the way it goes, we're going to be Protestants, no more immigration, no more nations come in here, they got it sealed, and they were just the earnest people saying, all we want is a chance, and then they get here and go, all right,
close the door.
I think people when they're on one side and they have this earnestness and pleading, and then they could be irresponsible with their power as soon as they get it, and they're like, didn't you just plead for this yourself? And I think that
I get backlash. Something, for instance, somebody saying, "Oh, you're the scum of the earth. You're the lawyer. You're defending these people. You're defending these kids. This and that." And then 2 weeks later, their family gets in trouble and they need me.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Nothing's real until it happens to you, right?
I don't take it personal. It is what it is. I know human nature. I understand that human nature. I have 5 kids. I get it. But like I said, you don't like me until you need me.
Well, there's been some times, right, where you represented someone, they were innocent, and they were, they truly were. It wasn't you just being with trickery. You defended them, and they were innocent, and then everyone was ready to crucify them, right?
Of course, and we get them off at trial. I had a guy last month. He was facing 108 years. And I got him off on trial, beat all 7 first-degree felonies. The whole courtroom got up crying and screaming. The prosecutor's still pissed off because they lost. I thought they were only seeking justice, but instead they're just seeking a jail sentence because it doesn't matter if he's innocent, because even after the jury says he's innocent, they should let it go.
You see this all the time where the police departments need to peg somebody.
All the time.
But they have to, they want their man.
Tunnel vision.
So they're going to make it happen no matter what, and that's creepy. And so now they want to have a success.
How prevalent is that? Will you see wrongful convictions just based on quota?
I win so many cases off the tunnel vision argument, where police officers do all kinds of things wrong. They take missteps. They don't follow up on an investigation. They think that one person is guilty. They go towards that person, and everything they do makes that person guilty when they could have done 10 or 15 other things, other interviews, all kinds of different interventions. They don't do it all the time, and the jury sees that, and they say, hey, he didn't do a complete investigation.
If I'm going to run a parallel, O.J. Simpson, we obviously know probably what happened, but he was able to get off for that. It seemed like they were targeting, right? And so then you'll sell that point going, they're targeting, and that's an example. But they probably didn't have to do it.
Even if he was guilty, the fact that they were targeting was enough to give that.
I know. And they didn't. I don't think they had to have done it. If everyone just would have chilled out and operated right, but they were so busy trying to get an overwhelming conviction that they didn't get one. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I just told the office today we're going to rewatch that trial in my conference room. Yeah, just to learn and kind of just watch it. It was a great trial, great defense. And,
it was. What a team on both sides. Right, the meeting of the minds there. Skip and I have a running bet. Is Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino have a law firm? Because we
do they have a law firm?
Yeah,
I don't know, but I'd like to partner if they do.
Yeah, okay.
Are you serious?
No, but
okay. I'm not going.
What was that movie?
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate.
Oh, don't even mention it, bro. I'm living that life. I'm living that life.
That's what I was going to say.
Talk to my wife, like, that's my life right there. I've had to come to terms on that with exactly similar stuff. And as a matter of fact, in the beginning, there were certain cases I wouldn't take. But now that I'm a seasoned attorney and I can compartmentalize and I can realize
you can better navigate it.
I'm better navigating.
I think it would be cool if you had a mentor like Al Pacino just roaring like a lion.
That'd be amazing.
I'd be like, what are we doing?
Well, let's talk a little bit about it, because when, in our industry, in real estate, it's obviously you go, you get your license, but there's no real world experience. What is it like when you go to law school? I know it's a lot of reading, a lot of studying, but what's the main learning curve, I guess, when you go from classroom to actually Now you're litigating. I mean,
I think what benefited me was basically common sense and street smarts. Being a regular guy, not being somebody who went to private schools and didn't have life experience, went straight to college and became a lawyer. I think that people are better served when lawyers have some life experience. UNM is actually a good place for that because we have a lot of non-traditional students who are in their 30s and above. But I think the fact that I had been in trouble, this and that, school was, I guess it wasn't too easy, but it wasn't too hard for me. I was in the middle of my class. I wasn't at the top, but what they say is the people who get C's end up owning law firms, the B's end up working for judges, and then the A's end up just being employees. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. The smartest people are also usually employees.
Well, I think sometimes in academia, the people that are performing or they check off boxes and they're terrified. We go, what do you do now? No, you have to figure it out. They like assignments, and
they do.
That's
they
why.
do.
Yeah.
It's easier for them,
yeah.
And so it helped me having that real life experience. But law school was good. It teaches you the law, it teaches you how to research, but it teaches you nothing about practice.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the same in a lot, especially our industries.
Know-how and application are two different.
Correct.
things.
When we came up in the mortgage industry, they were like, yeah, here's how you fill out the loan application now. Go be
Skip and I did 3 months of magnet darts being like, they don't care. And it's like, shoot, they don't care.
Yeah.
We're not making any money. And they didn't get any better magnet darts either.
Yeah. Well, I think in any industry, it's all about, being in the field, learning hands-on, and then continuing your education.
And doing it, and not being afraid to make some mistakes. I've made mistakes along the way, right? As long as you learn your lesson, you know, and change and do better.
We were hitting the ground running, and you already kind of knew the protocol. And I'm sure the butterflies were a lot less for you than like the other ones that would step in a court and like,
Well, the butterflies are always there. I was definitely nervous, especially going back in front of a couple judges who had sentenced me.
Going back again.
The district attorney who essentially was prosecuting me is a good friend of mine now.
That's cool.
I wrote him when I got out of law school. He's a good friend of mine now. We co-counsel on some cases, talk to each other all the time.
Cool.
That's great.
Well, that's really cool.
Well, you gain some wisdom too, right? Because now on the other end with you get some little pointers and you're like, I would have.
I just can't believe that I made this fool come around. Honestly, I was in the jails, in the cells, in the jumpsuit, and now I'm talking to the judge.
I think a turnaround is respectable, right? And they go, oh man, you did it. You came.
Thank you.
Well, we're a small community in Albuquerque, and I'm sure the legal game, everybody's a small community. Everybody networks together.
Yeah.
Everybody's kids play soccer together. Same in our industry as well. So
that's a very height answer of him.
But Adam, we appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate it.
You're making a big splash here in Albuquerque, and we appreciate you.
Thank you guys as well, and I wish you the best moving forward. And
we want a billboard next to you, so we want a trio, and that's the way you can pay us back. We'll have a trio of us, and then I'll just have a white belt on.
Why don't I just have you guys come and act in one of my commercials, and you could be like the defendants or
please.
in the back of the cop car or something.
I've been wanting to put Skip on film for years.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'll put him in cuffs. No
Maybe you guys can get in a fight with each other.
Rear naked choke him. Coming up next, here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. It's everybody's favorite, Skip's Tips. This is UABQ.
Thanks, Adam. Great segment. Genuine guy. Great criminal defense lawyer. Well, I'll keep him in mind later on. I scheduled a fight in November. I'm going to fight Miles, my brother. Here we are for Skip's Tips.
Oh, yeah.
Skip's Tips are anything that saves us time, makes us more money, allows us to have more fun in real estate or in real life. Thinking about entering the real estate market this year? Protect yourself. 5 tips for buyers and sellers when you go to buy or sell a property. First of all, understand the market. Do some basic research to understand if you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. Set that budget so there's no surprises when you purchase your property, and so you can better understand all those underlying costs associated with buying property. Of course, choose the right agent. You want to find somebody that's familiar with your neighborhood and keeps up with market trends. Make sure that they have a good track record. Buyers, get pre-approved with a trusted home loan expert to better understand what you qualify for to help streamline the process. Sellers, stage and inspect your home. Staged homes sell for more money and faster, and inspect the home to avoid those mishaps down the road in the transaction. Keep those tips in mind. If you're thinking about making a move to, in, or around Albuquerque, be sure to reach out. Oh yeah, share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Oh, yeah.
Touch me and I'll sue.
Glory hole me and I'll glue.
I'm going into tech or
glory holes. Hey, every Wednesday night, Sunday morning here on the Education Channel worldwide on the internet. This is
I used to
UABQ.
be a Harlem Globetrotter when I grew up.